Good afternoon, everybody. What I'd like to do with you today is share some poems which will help to put some balance back into the unbalanced history that everybody's aware of. And the reason why so many people are confused about what happened the other month is that people don't understand the African story. So the first poem I'd like to share with you today is actually from a collection that was written in 2007. And this poem is called Imhotep. 5,000 years ago, a child was born who became a god. But nothing was taught about him in school, and I found this odd. His name is Imhotep, and through his life he achieved many things that resulted in Imhotep going from a common man to being worshipped by kings. Imhotep was born in Kemet and served under King Joshua as chancellor to the pharaoh. Imhotep had an amazing appetite for knowledge about things people didn't know. Imhotep was an intellect with vision and amazing wisdom, which is why Imhotep advised the next three kings on the ruling of the kingdom. Imhotep is regarded as the first architect who designed the step pyramid, which still stands today as a testament to just one of the great things Imhotep did. Imhotep was a great physician who diagnosed and treated over 200 diseases. Imhotep performed surgery, dentistry, and extracted medicines from plants and trees. Imhotep was a great scribe who recorded what he thought, and through these actions, Imhotep's knowledge could be taught. Imhotep became a high priest that people believed in. Imhotep lived a full life. Imhotep gave freely as he believed it was everybody's entitlement. So Imhotep had a full life and lived to a grand old age. But when Imhotep died, it wasn't the end of his chapter. It was more like the turning of a page. 100 years after Imhotep's death, he was elevated to the position of a medical demigod. 2,000 years later, Imhotep was elevated again, but this time to a god. The Egyptians, Greeks, Romans worshipped Imhotep and what he believed, and through this understanding of Imhotep's work, much they too achieved. The early Christians worshipped Imhotep too, and viewed him as one with Christ, which goes to show that Imhotep was viewed by many up there with the highest. Imhotep was a man who became a god because of people's belief in him, which is a remarkable achievement when we look at Imhotep's beginning. So no matter where your life may start, you never know where it will end. And that is the message from these words I would like to say. Thank you. This poem is called Warrior Queen. Freedom and self-determination should be everyone's birthright. Throughout the transatlantic slave trade, there were people who knew it wasn't right. Nanny was one such person, a freedom fighter who fought for this cause, because Nanny knew that people were being enslaved under unjust laws. Nanny was from the Ashanti people in Africa, where women were treated with respect. Under British rule in Jamaica, they were enslaved, raped, and hung by the neck. Nanny was taken from Africa to Jamaica and enslaved into this barbaric regime. But Nanny escaped and set out on her quest to make freedom more than just a dream. Nanny joined the Maroons, known for their fighting skills and bravery. Africans and indigenous people who had escaped during the Spanish rule on slavery. Nanny was an amazing woman with exceptional leadership qualities, which Nanny used to develop and establish new Maroon communities. Nanny planned raids on plantations which set the enslaved free. They would then join the Maroons, showing strength in unity. Due to these actions, Britain declared war on the Maroons in 1720. The plan was to destroy the Maroon communities and force them back into slavery. Nanny was a military leader, a true warrior queen, who used tactics against the British they had never seen. The Maroons would camouflage themselves to look like trees, which enabled them to ambush the British soldiers with ease. The British suffered many losses due to the Maroons' superior combat skills. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't remove the Maroons from the hills. In 1739, the Maroons were offered a peace treaty to bring the war to an end. The British realised they couldn't win the war and would rather be the Maroons' friend. Some Maroon leaders signed the peace treaty to end the war. Nanny refused because she didn't agree with the new law. The peace treaty gave the Maroons their own land, but slavery remained legal. Nanny could never agree to sign anything that still allowed this evil. Nanny leaves a legacy that should be an inspiration to us all of what can be achieved when you're back against the wall. God bless Nanny. So the first poem was about somebody 5,000 years ago. The second poem was about somebody approximately 300 years ago. This poem is about somebody in the present who is actually presently here right now. But this poem I've written, and this poem is called Queen of Hearts. Out of many, we can be one Bristol, is the truth Cleo Lake wishes to instill. To some, this seems like an over-optimistic dream, but remember, we all come from the same stream. Africa is where our journey started. It's where humanity began. It's the birthplace of the ancestors of every woman and man. We have many cultures and languages that set us apart, yet we are all still one, and Cleo holds this in her heart. We have many cultures and languages, Cleo came to life from a cultural entwining. Two cultures, both human, though divided. Growing up in Bristol, Cleo faced a city divided, where options presented were so one-sided. Race, wealth and class were the elephants in the room, propelling some to stardom while dragging others to doom. Driven by her desire to achieve, however hard Cleo has to believe in herself and a love for humanity, which allowed Cleo to hold on to her sanity. Moving forward, Cleo would still get knocked down, but she would find the strength to swim, not drown. A mother, carnival leader, green councillor, and Lord Mayor, Cleo Lake's ascension is a joy to share. Along her journey, much Cleo has learned, a knowledge gained that's duly returned. With having no fear of entering new spaces, Cleo Lake is connecting unsuspecting faces, pulling together Bristol's cultural community, breaking barriers down, rebuilding unity, critically tackling Bristol's political elite, creating a lake for our streams to meet. Can I welcome Cleo Lake to the stage, please? We have a round of applause for Cleo Lake.
And I hope that doesn't give me a health risk. Am I right? I'm all right. Okay. I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm fit. I will fight anything that comes in my way. most significant things we've had in our city ever, really, with regards to our legacy. I've got a few things I want to say. I hope you'll bear with me. I hope you'll get something from the words I want to express. My first question, though, to everyone is, can we repair ourselves? Can we repair ourselves? Who believes that we can repair ourselves? Yes? And I'm hoping that will lead into a call and response. Can we repair ourselves? Black Lives Matter, reparations, or else? Right? So when I say Black Lives Matter, I want you to say reparations or else. Can we repair ourselves? Black Lives Matter, reparations or else? And let me tell you a little bit more about the reparations movement that I've been involved in just for a few years. But the movement has been going ever since the time that African heritage people were displaced out of their own continent. This isn't a new thing. As you heard through the poems of Laurence, it's an ongoing battle. And I'm encouraged to see young people now taking this up. When we think about reparations, some people think it's just about the history, and of course that's important, but it's also about the current harm that continues to be done to African heritage people. There's a term that we use, and it's called maangamizi, which tries to sum up the historic harm and the harm today, the harm of which you heard from the introduction here. Things like over-representation in the prison system. Did you know that many parole boards do not represent us? They do not have representation on them. In fact, you might find that retired judges wade in and decide our fate. There is an annual march from Bristol to Parliament every year, 1st of August, which is the Emancipation Day. This march also has a petition, and it is charging the British state with ecocide and genocide. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a valid argument? Do you think it's the right charge? Do you believe in your heart that we can say that the British state historically and even today is guilty of ecocide and genocide? Because that is how serious it is, and it's important that we recognise that. This year the march isn't happening actually, and it's not just because of COVID, it's because the organisers have recognised they need a different strategy. So their strategy is going to be occupying Brixton in London. There'll be transport going from Bristol. There's always a strong Bristol contingency every 1st of August. They will be occupying Brixton. It will be called the Reparations Rebellion. And we encourage as many of you to attend. It is for everyone to get behind this. One of the demands of the movement is that we have an all-party parliamentary commission of inquiry and truth into reparatory justice regarding the historic transatlantic trafficking of enslaved people. This is what the movement is calling for. Actions that can be taken are to sign the petition, recharge ecocide and genocide, stop the maangamizi. Myself, I also submitted a motion to full council. It is now imperative that we use our democratic power for all issues to make sure that we are there, because sometimes things go past because we're not there around the table, so people presume that we don't care about the matter, which is far from the truth. A motion has gone to Bristol Council asking for this commission of inquiry. The motion didn't get heard this week, so I followed it up with questions about whether the mayor will also write and support for this commission of inquiry. Now I'm asking all of you to support the commission of inquiry as the first step of the state acknowledging the harm that they have done historically and today to African heritage people and others. I'm not saying and others don't count. Of course there's harm that's been done. When we have our reparations march, there are many communities who march with us, many indigenous nations from around the world also calling for the same thing. In terms of solutions, we also heard about education. That is extremely important, and again the cargo movement and project will be having an education aim that I believe is going to be rolled out in September, so we look forward to that. Bristol has also developed a One Bristol curriculum, which is about a world history view and a holistic approach that doesn't just get rolled out in Black History Month October. It's a year-round programme of education for our young people, which is so important. But you know what is also important? That this education programme isn't just rolled out in our council-led schools or academies, but it's rolled out at the seat of privilege, which is the fee-paying private independent schools. What's the point of rolling it out to all of us if it isn't rolled out to the seat of privilege? I hope you agree with that. In fact, when we get into it, of course, Black Lives Matter, one of the solutions, one of the aims has to be that we dismantle privilege. We dismantle privilege. Part of dismantling privilege is to put an end to people who tax evade. There must be tax justice. This is something we need to become aware of. We need to become aware that the government, under the COVID bailout, hasn't come to us to bail us out of our ongoing poverty and condition, but it's given billions to companies who tax evade, which means we cannot provide youth services, we cannot look after our elderly, we cannot provide adequate mental health provision, we cannot build more social housing, we cannot do any of these things that we desperately need as a 2020 British society because people are not paying their way, and that has to stop. Let's bring this down on a local level. And I'm also an artist, and I'm a director of Black Artists on the Move. And actually, we've become sick and tired of being sick and tired of going hand to mouth. And through this whole period of COVID, we've gone out of our way to uplift, empower, and support our community of artists who, let's face it, were at the bottom of the pile before COVID and will remain at the bottom of the pile after COVID. So these privileged institutions, don't come to me with your petition to save your salary, because none of us have salaries. It's not acceptable. I was deeply uncomfortable when I was elected as a Green Party councillor in 2016. That the first cabinet meeting I attended was for the council to agree signing off £10 million to the hall formerly known as Colston. I don't disagree that the hall needs a revamp. We do need world-class facilities in our city. Of course, I believe in arts and culture. I haven't got a problem with that. What I did have a problem with was that they get 10 million, Malcolm X, Kwumba Centre, Rastafari Cultural Centre, they don't get a penny. And I challenged that. And I also asked the mayor, if we're given this £10 million, which was a rollover in principle from the previous administration, then is it time to put a name change on the table? The chair of the Colston Hall at the time agreed with me that we should start the conversation. I mean, maybe you could be sceptical and say, well, he would, because he wanted to walk out of that meeting with the 10 million. However, he did support it. I was made to feel like I was saying something wrong by highlighting this. I was talked down and I wasn't listened to. I was crushed, but I never ever accept being crushed. From being crushed, I'll stand up again, and I'll always stand up again. So when I flung the portrait of those criminals against humanity from the Lord Mayor's parlour, that was me standing up again. And it wasn't me on my own, it was all of the hundreds and thousands and millions of my ancestors stood behind me. And for the people who aren't even born yet, back to the council and their budget. This week just gone, I've looked through the cabinet papers, okay? We've talked about the 10 million signed off for redevelopment. Fine, I'm over that. That project project is going over budget. They've discovered wells and X, Y, and Z, and like many of these projects, it's gone over budget. The council is underwritten now to about 40 million. Hopefully they'll get the funding, but if they don't, the council is on course to fund the hall formerly known as Colston to 40 million and growing. Fine, I'll park that. What I will not park is the discovery that year in, year out for I don't know how many years, I'm presuming it's at least 4, maybe it's longer, and it will continue for another few more years, is that the Bristol Music Trust, which is the arm of the Colston Hall, walks away with £1 million every year. £1 million. £1 million. My community and our black-led institutions walk away with nothing year in, year out, but look at the services that they provide for our community and other communities. No one else can cater to our needs better than us. So today is the day we decide that we're not going to allow ourselves to be tick boxes in someone else's privilege. They either give us half the cake or we take our own cake. When I was the chair of St. Paul's Carnival, and let me tell you what a struggle that was one of the hardest times of my life. It was difficult from a community perspective. It was even harder to navigate the system. And in the end, the carnival threw the towel in at us when we just about got it back to our community. You know, we were almost edged out of our own culture, and we became a threat when we started giving jobs to our own people. At that time, that's in 2015, and still today, we had to beg 60 grand a year to host the biggest community cohesion event in this city, which is the St. Paul's African Caribbean Carnival. A mere 60 grand, while other people walk away with £1 million. That has got to stop. Let's talk about the Rastafari Cultural Centre. Serving our community for decades. Anyone can walk through those doors, and anyone can have the comfort, the words, the wisdom, the listening ear of Ras Selassie. Let's hail him. Well, the council have decided that they wanted to sell the building. Sell our building. How can that happen? And I think it happens because officers making decisions do not know us, they do not know our journey, and sometimes this isn't even communicated to people who should know better in the council. As far as I'm concerned, African Caribbean people are now indigenous to certain areas in the UK. We're indigenous to Ladbroke Grove, we're indigenous to Hackney, we're indigenous to Brixton, Harston, Handsworth, Moss Side, and St. Paul's in Bristol. And it's about time we were stopped being denied of our rights, displaced, and disrespected, quite frankly. Get on board with the campaign for the Rastafari Cultural Centre to remain in our community hands. We will not be ousted out through economics, through a bit of paper, because that's what our lives have become. Theory on a bit of paper. Well, my life is more than that. My life matters. Your life matters. Our life matters, and Black Lives Matter. And when we say all Black Lives Matter, we are talking about the brothers and sisters on the continent who don't even have the privilege to stand up and talk today, and who are still choked by inequality, by these financial trade systems that take, pillage, rape, destruct, cause ecocide and genocide. This is what time it is. When we think about our journey as African heritage people and our allies, we can think about us as well. Let's think about that country called Haiti, or Haiti. Haiti, who stood up centuries ago and are still being punished to this day for being the first free Black republic. Let's remember them. And when we think about reparations, or we think about people we need to help and elevate, we need to help them and elevate them. They're still struggling today. you is headed by a banner that comes from the liberation struggle of Haiti, and the words liberty or death. And I hold on to that, liberty or death. And we do need liberty. That's what we're fighting for all of us who are under this yoke of capitalism and the rest. But listen, it isn't a death for us. It's a death for the colonial white supremacist inequitable privilege that continues to keep a knee on all of our necks. It hasn't been an easy journey for me throughout any of my life, but I'm still standing as a testament to the strength of the people who came before me, and to the energy of those who have yet to come, and to the young people standing up now. I have an opportunity, one that I grappled with and wasn't sure if I would take, but I now have the opportunity to become the deputy leader of the Green Party of England and Wales. But I cannot do that without your support. We make ourselves being self-determined and building our own institutions. You're going to hear from young people later who have come together to form an assembly of young people, the African Caribbean Assembly Youth Chapter Wing Bristol. But as well as that, we can and should aim to dismantle, infiltrate and change the system that oppresses us. Both strategies are needed. So please do try to support me. You can, if you wish, if you're inclined to. I'm not going to force you. You can pay £3 a month, become a Green Party member, and have the opportunity to vote for me in the internal elections in August. I hope you do, so that I can further elevate the message, further represent the poor people in our community who haven't had any justice over generations. So, let me also tell you that you can contact me about Black Artists on the Move if you're an artist and you need support, and you can join that movement. Also, please do listen out for the podcast I've launched, African AF, which is African as Future. The last thing is that I've also launched a school of IE, which is for children aged between 8 and 10. We meet once a week online, and it's for any culture to get involved, because education is for all of us to move forward. So I started by asking, can we repair ourselves? Black Lives Matter, reparations or else? Let that be part of our mantra now as we move forward. And remember that this movement is about action, and it's also about asking for support when you need support, which is something many of us find difficult. But I've asked for your support, and I'm also asking for your action. And part of that action is against the system or within the system, using the democratic tools that we have, such as petitions, such as showing up to full council, such as asking questions of our administration, our mayor, putting in statements as some people did at the last full council. We have to be seen, we have to be heard, we have to use every opportunity to make the change that we need. Can we repair ourselves? Black Lives Matter. Reparations or else? Thank you.
Up next we have Ras Judah.
Good afternoon. If you are unable to hear me clearly, I would appreciate if you make some signal to suggest that. Otherwise, much welcome to you all. What Laurence and Laurence have delivered is very powerful and important. Cleo, in return, her speech was very immaculate and very powerful, especially from an African descent perspective. Now, we need to look at racism. Racism is a problem to everyone. We've got an art within that. Now we look at the situation that's happening in America. So once you have taken away someone liberty, inequality, and so forth, that can translate to racism. It is difficult for me to put it in any other way or shape or form. So once you forcefully remove someone from their land or their country or whatsoever, and treat, I will not say them, treat us as uncivilized and so forth. Then to put us into slavery and all those other stuff, that can only equate to murder. And no matter how you look at it, it translates to murder because there was tens of thousands of us who are taking the shortcut by jumping overboard. There are also tens of thousands of us who were thrown over by force. While there was millions of us that entered into the slave situation. This is something that has been acknowledged over the world. A couple of weeks back, a few weeks ago, there was a situation that we had to, you young people had to remove one of the mass murderers. That's how we've been around. John Paul. You cannot hide from the fact if you are going to remove someone forcefully from their liberties, from you are able to remove someone forcibly from their liberties, then, as I mentioned previously, that's all equate to murder. And murdering of the African descendant people have been in a great number over the years. You see, we have got two countries outside of Africa who had had a hell of a lot, if you pardon the expression, a hell of a lot of Caribbean people dwelling in it. Both Britain and America. In America, in terms of social laws or whatever law they want to call it, you see, you're not able to walk down the street as a black man freely or as an African descendant, which is also wrong. You're not able to question things which you know as people is wrong. I would not go as far to suggest that that's translated over to all white people. Now the wrong to do that. I'm talking about law enforcement people. This is where the most problem is coming from. We do know that government establishment do sympathize with these races. This is something that we have got to stop. Now, as I mentioned before previously, in America, very recently, not so long ago, you had a blatant murder of a young man by the name of Trevon. Beg your pardon, I suffer from time to time. Not as bad as it once used to, because of certain things that happened to me. Right? But there's young Trevon in America. There was also Rodney King previous to that. Not mentioning the grave number of people who haven't got access to the media and so forth to put forward the testament and so forth. Right? But what we do know is that America treat African descendant people as insignificant. Therefore, it's easy for them because they have got a culture in America, a gun culture. Right? Now they shoot first and ask question after. I'm not saying that Britain, I will come on to Britain shortly, but we deal with America first. Right? Once your colors look like mine, there is not much going for you. In Britain, while they do not practice regular carrying of firearms, what they do is, you would hear that some Afro-Caribbean person been dead during police arresting and so forth, or whoever have been shot, it does not come to the light. Yes, but we can remember, right, and I will mention them shortly. They claim that they also killed by using taser and so forth. And I'll mention a couple of names, so I'll still drag your memory, right? Not so long ago, there was a young professional footballer. He's younger than me, so I'll call him young. Damian Atkins. The police have shot him with a taser. They claim that they didn't do no such thing. Yes, they did. They shot Damian Atkins with a taser. Damian Atkins died as a result of being shot by the taser. and taser shot him in his body. Then, just after that, you have got a young man up in London who, yes, he's got difference with police. However, the day that he was murdered by police officer, by the Met police fraternity, so to speak, they have shot the young man, Mark Douglas, blatantly. We all see, well, most of us were watching television then. We see what happened. He got away with it. I myself have been shot with a taser which is carrying over 50,000 volts of electricity. Yes, I was fortunate because I have got someone who's watching me wanting to keep me alive. This is the only reason why I'm here now. Right? But the fact is, people want to go and say the police force is not racist. But I can assure you, if you see something is happening where you know it's wrong, this is where they treat us when they're talking about a compass or whatever. If you see someone, one of your colleagues doing something which is not right, and you don't step in to stop it, what that makes you? That makes you similar to them. You are in the same category as them. You are a racist. You are a racist. Therefore, it is pointless to suggest that the British police force is not racist. Yes, you got one and two who are trying to do good. But the fact remains, if you see your colleague doing this sort of negative, because racism can only encourage war and so forth, right? Because, for example, when I was shot in my face, if I was that way inclined, if I would have reacted in a different way. It would have caused many problems. Lots of people go to prison and so forth. It's a possibility that one or two will die. However, being the person I am, I decided to take the diplomatic way through. Similar to what has been happening in America. You see, we have our protests to demonstrate all these sort of concerns we have. And we are doing it in a diplomatic way. Someone said to me from America a few days ago, I was doing an interview, why does it take something like what happened to George Floyd in America to kick off some worldwide demonstration and so forth? Right? Now, I draw them attention to the situation back in 1980, right? When we had our uprising in Bristol and all over the country. It takes a small thing. Yes, we have been going through a hell of a lot throughout our life. Right? But it takes one small thing to trigger a reaction. You know what I'm saying? Because to every action that one takes, always be prepared to have at the back of your mind. Every action, there is always be a reaction. And this is what I've been now today. Right? My pleasure is to see not only black people, but African descendants. I have difficulty using the term black people as a reason. We seem to be creating a new race. And people talking about brown, black and white. No, it's black and white, otherwise they have two cultures. So we need to accept that. The pleasure is to see so many young white people coming forward and addressing this common disease that we're having throughout the world, this racist problem. Right? Now, I do know that the city council or the mayor's office, so to speak, I will not pull any punches. The same principle applies to the police, the same principle applies to the mayor. Whether it's black or not, it makes no difference to me. If you are not doing anything according to the people's wish, then you need to be called out. And I know that office down there. I know that office down there is doing things which is not beneficial to ordinary people out in the street. And I've got no fear of people, regardless of what they may say or do. They may come back with an excuse to suggest that they've been doing this, doing that, and so forth. While at the same time, the ordinary people are still crying out. And I'm saying that this is something that we need to be addressed. I heard Cleo, one part of Cleo speech, she made quite a passionate plea to have the mayor's office giving her some support for the positive work that she's doing. She's been doing that for years. In the Carlston situation, I can remember quite clearly when she took her office as the mayor of Bristol. One of her first decision that she took within her office to remove John Constant. Well, hopefully we're hoping to have some support from the city council. And I'm sure they were shortcoming in putting any support forward. This black mark situation, these young people, I got together and arranged